am live. I'm reading still part one of The Comedians, a novel by Greene. It was published 1966, and it describes up to now a journey to Port-au-Prince in Haiti. The three comedians are the presidential candidate, Mr. Smith. Then we have Mr. Jones, who calls himself Major Jones, and Brown, who is the one telling the story. They have met on this cargo vessel on its way to Port-au-Prince, and there's not many passengers. We are here in chapter 7. It was well after midnight when Jones rapped on my cabin door. I was going through some papers with the idea of destroying anything which might be unfavorably interpreted by the authorities. For instance, there had been an exchange of letters concerning the possible sale of my hotel, and in some of them there were dangerous references to the political situation. I was sunk in my thoughts, and I responded nervously to his knock, as though I were already back in the Republic and a Tonton Macoute might be at the door. "I'm not keeping you awake?" he asked. I hadn't started undressing. "I was sorry about tonight. It didn't go as well as I wished. Of course, the material was limited. You know, I have a kind of thing about a last night on board. One may never see each other again. It's like New Year's Eve, when you want the old codger to go out well. Isn't there something they call a good death? I didn't like that black fellow crying that way. It was as though he saw things in the future. Of course, I'm not a religious man." He looked at me shrewdly. "You neither, I would say." I had the impression he had come to my cabin for a purpose, not merely to express his disappointment at the entertainment, but perhaps to make a request or to ask a question. If he had been in a position to threaten me, I would have even suspected he had come for that. He wore his ambiguity like a loud suit, and he seemed proud of it, like a man who says, "You must take me as you find me." He continued, "The purser says you really own that hotel. Did you doubt it?" "Not exactly, but you didn't seem the type. We didn't always put the right description on our passports," he exclaimed, in a tone sweetly reasonable. "What have you got on yours?" "Company director. And that's quite true in a way," he admitted. "Anyway, it's vague enough," I said. "And what's on yours?" "Businessman. That's even vaguer," he exclaimed triumphantly. Interrogation, partly concealed, was to be the basis of our relationship in the short time it lasted. We would snatch at small clues, though in great matters we would usually pretend to accept the other's story. I suppose those of us who spend a large part of our lives in dissembling, whether to a woman, to a partner, even to our own selves, begin to smell each other out. Jones and I learned a lot about one another before the end, for one uses a little truth whenever one can. It is a form of economy. He said, "You lived in Port-au-Prince. You must know some of the big boys there. They come and go. In the army, for example. They're all gone. Papa Doc doesn't trust the army. The chief of staff, I believe, is hiding in the Venezuelan embassy. The general's safe in Santo Domingo. There are some colonels left in the Dominican embassy, and there are 3 colonels and 2 majors in prison, if they are alive. Did you have introductions to any of them?" "Not exactly," he said, but he looked uneasy. "It is well not to present introduction till you are sure your man is still alive. I had a tip from the Haitian consul general in New York recommending me." We've been at sea 3 days, remember? A lot happened in that time. The Consul General may have sought asylum. He said as the purser had gone, I wonder what brings you back, conditions being what they are. The truth was less fatiguing than invention, and the hour was late. I found I missed the place, I said. Security can get on the nerves, just as much as danger. He said, yes, I thought I had had my fill of danger in the war. And what unit were you in? He grinned at me. I had played a card too obviously. Oh, I was a bit of a drifter in those days, he said. I moved around. Tell me, what kind of chap's our ambassador? We haven't got one. He was expelled more than a year ago. Déchargé then. He does what he can, when he can. We seem to be sailing towards a strange country. He went to the porthole as though he expected to be able to see the land across the last 200 miles of sea. But there was nothing to be observed except the light of the cabin lying on the surface of the dark swell like yellow oil. Not exactly a tourist paradise any longer. No, it never really was. But perhaps a few opportunities for a man of imagination. It depends. On what? The kind of scruples you have. Scruples? He looked out into the rolling night and he seemed to be weighing the question with some care. Oh well, scruples cost a lot. What did you suppose that nigger really wept? Why that nigger really wept? I have no idea. It was an odd evening. I hope we do better next time. Next time? I was thinking of when this year ends. Wherever we may be. He came away from the porthole and said, oh well, it's time for shut-eye, isn't it? And Mr. Smith, what do you suppose he's up to? Why should he be up to anything? You may be right. Don't mind me. I'm going now. The trip's over. Not getting out of it now, he added with his hand on the door. I tried to cheer things up, but it wasn't much of a success. Shut-eye's the answer to all, isn't it? Or that's how I see it. So today is the 28th of August. This was the end of part 1, and we're coming to part 2. It says chapter 2 here, but we shall see. Bye-bye.